$21,000 of personal expenses paid by your company, that's expense fraud. I'm Nathan Cromar, and I would like to talk to you about how to prevent expense fraud from happening in your company. Recently, there was a story in the news about an analyst at Bank of America. He'd only been there about 3 weeks, but he racked up $21,000 of personal expenses on his corporate card. What's even more astonishing is that those expenses were approved and paid by Bank of America. And it wasn't until later that they discovered that they were his personal expenses. The employee was fired, but what's even more astonishing is that there was this breakdown in the expense management of the company, and it indicates that there was a poor culture around expense management. So how do you prevent things like this from happening? Well, the first thing that needs to happen is there needs to be the right culture. And expense management and the culture go hand in hand. The CFO is the one who needs to set the culture of the company as far as what people are allowed to spend and what they cannot spend. Now, the way that he sets the culture is through using his finance team to set key initiatives on spending. And these initiatives need to be communicated clearly, they need to be easy to understand, and they need to be consistently updated. Now, what comes into play next is ethics. Every employee has a moral obligation to not abuse the company they work for. Companies also have the obligation to take care of the employees that work for the companies and not take advantage of them. Now, finance teams need to create these spending policies, and they need to be regularly communicated to everybody and also regularly updated with changes in the world with like COVID-19, things like that. These spending policies need to be frequently updated and communicated to employees so that they are always aware of what they are allowed to and what they are not allowed to spend. If employees understand the ethics behind spending, and these policies are communicated, you'll avoid a lot of the ethical issues and expense fraud that employees commit. The other thing that companies can utilize is technology. It's technology that provides the CFO and the finance teams with the necessary tools that they can monitor spending in real time. It also allows companies to automate low risk, everyday expenses without spending time on going through those line by line and improving those. If you can automate a lot of the low risk expenses, it gives your finance team more time to spend on the high risk or more complicated claims, which is where the fraud is usually happening. Also, you can utilize technology to implement complicated or more layers of your expense policies. For example, like if you only want employees to be able to spend or allow travel on certain airlines or use specific ride sharing programs, you can layer those types of things into your expense management technology to streamline the process even further. So in conclusion, the tone of the culture in the company needs to be set by the CFO. And as long as the expense policies are clearly communicated, frequently updated, and make sure everybody is aware of them, that is the first step in preventing fraud. Employees also need to understand that they have the moral obligation to not abuse the company, and then also utilizing technology to establish automation of expense management will create efficient and effective enforcement of these policies. So I hope you're able to take some good things away from this and prevent expense fraud from happening within your companies. Thank you.